Right.
So like you never know whether one relationship will lead to the next one that will lead to the next one. So I like how you are like you understood that and you're taking action and you're like, you know what? I'm going to meet people here that are going to make me triple my income. Is that the way you saw it with the whole environment thing?
100%, yeah. And like I said, I saw when you were sitting courtside, I believe you were sitting next to Karol G and Kevin Hart and yeah, like celebrities like that, you know, it's like, it's a little different, but you're going to meet those investors, those billionaires, those trillionaires that are just sitting there with a black hat and a black shirt looking like nobody, but they're sitting courtside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, it's not necessarily about like the celebrities or anything like that. It's more about the investors, the VPs, the CFOs, the presidents that are, you know, behind the scenes, calling the shots, and the other people are just the face of the company. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that proximity is very important. Environment is key. Just like that saying, you know, if you hang out in the barbershop long enough, you're gonna get a haircut. And I think that, you know, those are words to live by. If you hang out with people who are not ambitious, who don't want better, who are comfortable living paycheck to paycheck, don't want to, you know, better their situation, don't want to put in the work, then that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna wake up every day and not do anything.
Hey guys, welcome to Driven Channel, and I'm here with a very special guest. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but I think Frankie, and not more me, but I think I wanted him to earn it more and grow more as not only a loan officer, but as just a man. And I don't say this because he wasn't there before, because you could have done this, like, we could have done it last year, because last year you were putting up good numbers. But I think that and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you also wanted to wait for the perfect time. Like, I think you wanted to be 100% and you wanted to wait a little, but maybe I'm wrong. But I'm really happy that you're here, Frankie. I'm really excited about this, and we just had some 1942, so we started off right.
That's
so,
right.
Frankie, thank
Appreciate
you for
it.
being here. And am I right or wrong? Like, did you want to wait a little bit, or how's that?
No, I think to your point, that's very much my mentality. It's you got to walk before you run, and then run before you fly. So I didn't want the acknowledgement. What I do is, at the end of the day, not for acknowledgement. You know, I think we're in the business of helping people, and I think part of the reason why I wanted to not necessarily prove myself, but also earn it, is because you know, recognition is earned, and I feel like once you feel like you have genuinely earned it, it means that much more, as opposed to it just being handed to you.
Yeah. Awesome, Frankie. So let's get started. I heard you started working when you were in high school still. Mm-hmm. And can you talk about that, and what does that have to do with your work ethic and kind of like because I noticed that you like to party, you like to have fun, and so do I, but regardless of that, you always put out the work. So you're always focused on work. You don't make excuses about production or slowing down. Like, I've never seen you have a month when you don't do good.
Right.
You're always consistent. So does working starting from high school, did that make a difference, or where did you develop that work ethic that you have?
I think it all started 100% due to my upbringing. When I was in middle school, all throughout high school, I would always work with my dad. I would work with him in the weekends and summer breaks, Christmas breaks. So I came to grow that hustler's mentality, that ambition, that I wanted to do more for myself. And as soon as I became of legal age to work at 15 years old, I started applying. I started figuring out where I can make income for myself, right? Make it happen for myself. At one point, I was 15, no car, no means of transportation, nothing like that. I would ride the bike to work every day, 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back for a 4-hour shift. But to me, it was more of that sense of acknowledgement, that sense of achievement within myself, because I knew that I wasn't just wasting my time. I was working towards something better. And that's right. I think that, you know, ever since I became of legal age to work, I've never stopped working. At one point, I worked 3 part-time jobs. I made sure that I was remaining busy, remaining productive, and I think that carried over in everything that I've ever done. whether it's in this business or the previous.
So you started working at 15 or at 18?
15.
15.
Yeah, 15, because at 15 you're able to get a work permit, and that work permit will allow you to get a part-time job.
Got it. And when you finished high school, did you go to college at all, or did you?
I did try to go to college. I went to college for about a semester. Quickly realized that it wasn't anything that, like, it wasn't providing value to me. And not to say that college is something that it's not something that I recommend, or not something that's not necessary. I feel like to each their own. Everyone has their own different paths. Yeah. But for me, it just wasn't something that was fitting my criteria of where I wanted my life to go. So immediately I just went into the workforce. I dropped out of college, went full-time into the workforce, and that's when I actually started my first full-time management position.
And that was at what age?
That was at the age of 18.
Of 18.
Yeah.
So you were like a manager?
Yeah, I was a sales manager for Sports Authority, which is kind of like a Dick's Sporting Goods. It's no longer around. It went bankrupt. But I was a sales manager there.
That's because you left.
Yeah, I think so. I think they went bankrupt because I left. They couldn't handle the hit. But you know, from that moment on, when I got that opportunity, I remember walking into Sports Authority the day one that I got hired, and I walked in and I'm like, I've never been a manager or a leader in anything in my life. So I walked in and I told myself, you know, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna put my best foot forward. And if I'm able to try my best and genuinely go home and feel satisfied with the work that I did, and I still fail, then at that point I maybe need to, you know, choose a different path. But if you go in there and you work hard, you do your best, and you're able to, you know, perform and you know, make sure that the team is being taken care of, then you get a sense of pride within yourself. So I think that that's always been a main driver for me.
What was the number one thing, or maybe two things that you learned from the manager position? Like, what do you think you learned from? Because I think, like, a lot of people that become very successful in sales and in business, they usually their background, like your upbringing that you said,
yeah,
and then you were exposed to sales, you were exposed to managing, and at a young age, so that kind of maybe you learned some things from there that you applied in the mortgage industry.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say was like maybe one thing or the top thing you learned from being a manager?
I think 100% the main skill that I acquired from working in that environment is just being able to talk to people, being able to carry a conversation, make people feel comfortable. Just that customer service piece goes a lot further than a lot of us think. So being a waiter, being a busboy, being in customer service, retail, you deal with, you know, thousands of personalities a day. So being able to justify how each one of them is receives communication or should be communicated to, I think that is a skill that I think I carry with me every single day, whether it's in that business, this business, or any other business that I've been a part of. That's the main skill that I think has really helped me out. Another thing is growing a team, supporting them, holding them accountable, but still giving them the recognition enough to where they feel empowered. So I think that, you know, not only me, like myself, I can work as 24 hours a day, keep going, burn myself out, and, you know, still be in the same position. Or I can strengthen my team, train them, set up some systems, and they're going to do, you know, not necessarily the work that I don't want to do, but the work that I don't necessarily have to do anymore, because while I'm, you know, going out there, meeting with clients, meeting with realtors, doing pre-approvals, they're able to handle my conditions. They're able to gather documents from our clients, things like that. Busy work that, you know, we don't necessarily need to be a part of anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, being able to delegate and being able to grow your team is definitely, without a doubt, number two.
Where do you get your competitiveness? Because I know you're like extremely competitive.
I do think that it's really just a matter of just self-accountability. It's not necessarily that I want to be the best. It's that I believe that I am. And with that mindset, even whether or not I'm the best, in my mind, I am. So with that mindset, you know, failure is really just not an option. It's not something that we can accept, you know. And I think that sometimes there will be hurdles. Sometimes there will be obstacles. And what makes you a better leader and a better person overall is how you overcome those obstacles. So it's not necessarily that I'm, you know, diehard competitive. It's just that I expect a lot of myself.
Well, you're fairly new in the mortgage industry and you're already top 4. So that's huge.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
it is.
I'm sure next year you might be number one.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not. I don't think that it's might. I think that I will be, because it's not necessarily.
You have a lot of potential. So let me
Yeah.
before you say that, let me start right here. Like, look, a lot of people in this recession that we're in and the hard times that some people call, like, you're not really experiencing hard times. Like, you're closing deals and you're out there working. Like, you have a lot of business. It's not like you're slow.
Right.
So, like, if you win right now, just imagine in 12 months, in 18 months, when the market opens up again, because recessions don't last forever.
That's right.
And you're not affected by it. You're still doing good. I know, because you're doing things differently. You're adapting to it. You have a lot of energy, but you're fairly new. So imagine what Frankie's going to be doing for the next 12 months, 18 months. And then when the market opens up, dude, you might become one of the biggest investors in real estate. You might become mega wealthy. I don't think you might. I know you are.
Right.
Because the only thing that's going to stop you is you.
That's
as long
right.
as you remain coachable, humble, and hungry,
Yeah.
you have no limit.
Yeah.
So and then you have a special person in your life. You have your little one, your little daughter.
That's right. That's right.
So, like, you have that motivator.
Yeah.
Some people, like, they don't have a daughter or a son. And when you have that, speaking from my experience, it just pushes you that extra yard
Yeah.
to get to the finish line. So you're going to be very, very dangerous for the years to come. And only Frankie is the only person that could get in Frankie's way. So, like, what do you think, why do you think that is that way? And what can people expect from Frankie in the next 12 months?
So I think you hit it in the nail with that word is adapting to the environment. Because when I came into this the mortgage industry, we were in the refi boom with the rates at 3%, 2%, rates unheard of. And that's what I came in learning is refis.
Yeah.
And when the rates started going up, we started going into a purchase market. We started seeing a shift in the market. We needed to pivot. We needed to change not only the way we spoke to our clients, but what we spoke about. And being able to not only anticipate a change like that, but also take action and not be intimidated and control what you can control. I think that is what has really helped me, because some people, they freeze up and they just, they turn over and it's like, well, the rates are high. Well, that's great, but we can't control that. So instead of focusing on that, let's focus on how we can paint the bigger picture. What's our client's exit strategy? If we're going to refi, what are we refinancing for? And at the same time, looking out for the client's best interest. I think that has really sat well with me, because 90% of my business is referral driven, and and I would say 50% of those are return clients, and that's because I'm very personal, but at the same time I have an exit strategy and I paint the bigger picture. So what I think can be expected of me in the next couple months would for sure be my team fully developed, my team just out there prospecting and making sure that we're kind of reaching in every direction. But more than anything, I think it's just strengthening my systems, becoming more efficient when it comes to, just making sure that the communication improves. I feel like no matter what level you're at, there's always room for improvement. And when you stop improving, that's when you have given up. And like I said earlier, I'm very hard on myself. I take self-accountability very seriously when it comes to my business. And, I'm always looking for ways to improve. So what I think that can be expected of me is, I've come very far so far, but I have a long way to go. So
Yeah.
that doesn't stop.
So, Frankie, before we get more into the mortgage side, your parents came from a different country. Where were you born? Like, can you talk about
Yeah.
where you came from, where you grew up, what city, and all that?
Yeah, 100%. So both of my parents are from Durango, Mexico. They were born and raised out there and came out here. I believe my mom was 15 and my dad was 23, 24, something like that. And
Your mom was 15?
15, yeah. There's an 8-year gap. And when she came out here, came out here legally. She was born with my oldest sister at that point, pregnant with my oldest sister at that point. And they just, came out here to give us a better life, give us an opportunity to strive for more, and, just give us something that they didn't have. So that's why, for me, I take it very serious upon myself to not waste that opportunity because many people don't have that. And on top of that, I think that, the second question is where was I born and who am I as an individual? I was born in White Memorial, Los Angeles. Thankfully, because my parents decided to migrate over here. Otherwise, I would be out there with limited liabilities or limited opportunities. So I was born in White Memorial, born and raised in LA. Always been within the area. So although I have family spread out in Las Vegas, Chicago, all throughout the U.S., I was born and raised in LA.
What part of LA?
White Memorial. So like.
But what part in LA did you grow up?
Oh, okay. So I grew up in a small city. It's called Maywood.
Okay.
It's like by Downey, Southgate, Bell, surrounding areas. I grew up in Maywood. When I turned 10 years old, we moved to the city of Bell. And I pretty much have just hovered within those areas up until recently. I made the move to Long Beach.
You got a nice new pad, huh?
I sure did.
We'll talk about that pad right now. But your parents, are you close to your parents? Do you have any brothers, sisters?
Yeah, I have 4 siblings actually. 2 older sisters, 1 younger sister, and 1 younger brother. And I feel like our family dynamic is different because my mom lives in Las Vegas. My dad is out here, remarried. So we're kind of, in different spaces and different areas of our lives individually. But our family is very important to us, and the bond that we carry is also very important. So we make an effort to, meet up, spend time with each other, bond, and I think that that's very important because if you're lacking, it's all about balance. And if your business is booming, but your attention to your family is lacking, or vice versa, you're never gonna be at peace. So I think that, spending that quality time with your loved ones is very important. So yeah, our family dynamic is pretty strong.
Got it. So the new place you said, we talked about your new place. I still have to go see it.
Yeah.
So your new place, I saw like a story, but I know it's like a high rise. I know you have a beautiful view. It looks spacious and it looks pretty expensive to live there. So is that was that something that you always wanted to live in a place like that? You wanted to have your own space, or what made you get that space? And can you talk about the new space a little bit? And also, obviously, you could afford it because you're having one of your record-breaking years. I think by far this year is your best year, most money you've ever made.
Right.
So I can see that that being something that you wanted.
Yeah.
But why did you move there? And how does it feel to be one of the top 4 in the company right now? By the end of the year, you might end up top 2 or who knows, maybe even number one. But
who knows?
How does it feel to be so successful right now at a young age? Because I don't know how old you are, but you look like 21. But now you're in the you got a it's like a dream place that place that reminds me of the high rise where I used to live.
Yeah, no, and it actually gives me that same vibe. So to me, it was more about proximity, not necessarily the fact that it's a sky rise or anything.
A lot of
like
celebrities live there.
I actually met one of the vice presidents for a very big protein company while we were in the jacuzzi upstairs. So I won't say it just to not put out information out there, but it's all about proximity to me. Not only with the residents that also live in that building, because it is a building where it is a little more on the pricier side. So people who are living there, have the means to live there. And I think that by me surrounding myself and networking and being with those types of individuals in the jacuzzi, really, I mean, like, that's ridiculous. We were just chilling and hanging out, and we just got into conversation. And I think that that's why I did it. That's why I wanted to move there, because the people who you're gonna cross paths with in the elevator, in the lobby, in the pool, in the common areas, it's unheard of. Kind of like you and 10,000, right? And I think that's the
life changing.
Yeah, exactly. That's the most. I think one of your most influential relationships came out there, correct? So that's one of the reasons. Another reason is I have my best friend, business partner, Oscar, lives a block away. One of my production partners actually just moved across the street from my building. My satellite office is 2 blocks away from that area. And then Miguel is also moving into our building. So I think, to me, it's not just about the residents that are currently in there, but also being close to your team, because I feel like when you guys are on that same wavelength together, you'll go a lot further.
Yeah, I talk a lot about environment.
Yeah.
Like you talked about the building where I used to live, and I've always paid more to be in better environment.
Right.
For example, even when you fly.
Yeah.
You know, when you fly, you're used to flying commercial, and I'm not even going to the whole private jet thing, but even when you go and get a first class seat, you sit next to first class people.
Exactly.
When you go to an event, you sit at the front. You're with the people at the front that are paying money to be there, which means they're successful.
Right.
When you go to the game, if you sit in the best suites or the
floor.
front the court side, if you can, like you're sitting next to people that, who knows, they might be your friends or your resources that you have, like today that we have, where I could be like, hey buddy, send me 10 million. Hey buddy, send me 5 million. Hey buddy, let's do this. Like where you have access, you have friends that have access to that much money for anything.
Yeah, right.
So like you never know whether one relationship will lead to the next one that will lead to the next one. So I like how you are like you understood that, and you're taking action, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to meet people here that are going to make me triple my income. Is that the way you saw it with the whole environment thing?
100%. Yeah. And like I said, I saw when you were sitting courtside, I believe you were sitting next to Karol G and Kevin Hart and yeah, like celebrities like that, you know, it's like, it's a little different, but you're going to meet those investors, those billionaires, those trillionaires that are just sitting there with a black hat and a black shirt looking like nobody, but they're sitting courtside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, it's not necessarily about like the celebrities or anything like that. It's more about the investors, the VPs, the CFOs, the presidents that are, you know, behind the scenes, calling the shots, and the other people are just the face of the company. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that proximity is very important. Environment is key. Just like that saying, you know, if you hang out in the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. And I think that, you know, those are words to live by. If you hang out with people who are not ambitious, who don't want better, who are comfortable living paycheck to paycheck, don't want to, you know, better their situation, don't want to put in the work, then that's what you're going to do. You're going to wake up every day and not do anything. Or you can wake up every day with a sense of urgency, with that sense of ambition, you know, go to the gym, follow up on this lead, follow up on that lead, do this, do that, do this. Like days, literally, when you put in the work, they fly by so quick, it's crazy. And I think that is something that, you know, can reflect on how productive your day was. If you're bored, you don't know what to do, you're just sitting there and you're like twiddling your thumbs, then maybe you're not being as productive. But if your day is flying by and you're just boom, 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 like call after call, text after text, email after email, you won't even realize, and it's already 10 p.m. So, I think that without a doubt, you know, proximity is the number one key, and I think environment is super important to be successful.
And Frankie, when you were getting out of high school or growing up, or maybe middle school, high school, did you want to be a police officer, or why? How did you get into the mortgage industry?
Yeah. So actually, it's funny you say. I actually did want to be a police officer. I was a police explorer for 3 years, which I think kind of taught me how to respect and how to have discipline. But yeah, I was a police explorer. It's something where I would go on ride-alongs and, you know, experience, like learn all the codes and go to the academy and everything. And as I continued to do so, I figured that wasn't the direction that I wanted my career to go into. I knew that I wanted to be rewarded for the work that I did, in regards to, if you work harder, you work longer, you'll get more of an output, right? As opposed to like a salary employee, you can work 24 hours a day, you're going to get your salary. So I think that what guided me into joining this industry is, prior to working here, I was working at a few different companies. One of the companies, it was Phillip Line, which is a company on Rodeo Drive, and that company, you know, I was happy. It's a great company, and you know, I feel like it kind of taught me how to deal with people who are a little bit of a higher status, because it's a very expensive brand. So I had to, you know, go to these clients' houses, do fittings for them, things like that. And it taught me how to interact with them. So when COVID started shutting everything down, we started shutting down as well. And that's actually when I joined Oscar as kind of like his production partner. I would help him gather documents, go through conditions. You know, he would teach me everything he knows. And that's when I decided to commit full time. And, you know, just, we are self-employed, so our outcome is dependent on our input. But I think that, you know, just knowing that you're gonna like put in the work is secure enough, or security enough to make sure that you're gonna be successful.
Did you leave that job for a reason, or did you just say, "Oh, I'm gonna get into mortgage"?
No, I actually, well, we were shut down because of COVID,
Mm.
and then eventually they started opening the stores up a little bit for like e-commerce orders, things like that, to fulfill those orders. And I just decided that I didn't want to go back. I decided that that was not the environment, or not the environment, but the direction that I wanted my career to go in. And obviously, I had a conversation, a lengthy conversation with Oscar. We spoke about entrepreneurship, we spoke about the potential, and we spoke about our partnership, not only as brothers, but also as business partners.
Yeah.
And after that conversation, I was just, you know, ready to
That's crazy. So literally, COVID made you rich.
yeah, yeah. And
If it weren't for COVID, maybe you're still working there in Rodeo
yeah,
Drive.
and exactly. And if it weren't for COVID, I would still be afraid to take that leap because it is challenging. My daughter, when I decided to leave retail, when I decided to leave that environment completely, my daughter was 6 months old. I had very little savings. I was not in the best position. So I had to have a lot of faith in myself, that I would be able to put in the work, that I would be able to make something out of nothing, in order to be able to take that leap, because I had to buy diapers, I had to pay rent, I had to pay my bills, I had to buy food, I had to go to the doctor. Like, there was a lot of expenses that come with having a kid, as you know. So having that faith in myself and just telling myself that my success is dependent on no one but myself, not Oscar, not my broker, not anyone else but myself and what I do with that. So I think that just having that in the back of my mind has always like propelled me to, you know, not, in a sense, to work harder than I think is acceptable. If you're clocking out at 5, I'm clocking out at 10. You know what I mean? If you're making 5 calls, I'm calling 30 people.
How did it feel like when you were working at the clothing store, and then like when you found out you were expecting a child, and then second when she was born? Like did that how did it change your life?
Yeah.
When you found out, and then when she was born.
Yeah, so I actually have a video about this on my Instagram. You know, Frankie14, check it out. But I speak a little bit about how when I got hit with the news of, you know, my daughter, you know, coming to the world. It was a sense of fear. It was a sense of like, I gotta get it together. It was a sense of doubt. It was a lot of mixed emotions, but somewhere in there, it was faith and happiness. And throughout the whole pregnancy, I was just, you know, nervous. I was saving. I was being very strategic with how I spent my money, what I spent my time doing, things like that. And, you know, once my daughter was born, once I heard that first cry, I feel like all the doubt, all the fear, all the like negativity just like flushed away. And now it came like, well, now I can't fail. Before I was afraid to fail. Now failing is not an option for me. Now I have to succeed. So I think that in many ways, more than one for sure, she's my why. And she's the one that, you know, when I'm tired or annoyed or frustrated or whatever the case may be, I continue going because of her, because she expects more, or not expects more, but I want to provide more. You know, I want to be able to, don't worry about this, don't worry about that. Give her the life that, you know, that I know I can. So I think that when she was born, all that negativity and doubt just kind of shifted away.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel the same way. when Natalia was born, it was very life changing, because what you said is, we should quote that. What he said that before he was afraid to fail, but when your daughter was born, that was not an option.
That's right.
So like I think that sums it all up for all the parents watching this, because that's the way it is. Like, because now what are you gonna do? Fail, and then what? What
are you gonna tell your kid?
What are you gonna tell your kid or your kids?
Can't eat today.
Yeah.
You know.
So then when you get into the mortgage industry, somebody very close to us, Oscar.
Yeah.
He takes you under his wing. He teaches you a lot. What does Oscar mean to you, and like, what did he teach you? What did he how impactful has Oscar been in your life?
So Oscar, as I mentioned earlier, he's not only a business partner, but he's also a brother. Many people don't know this, but we went to high school together. Since 10th grade, We met once, and from that day forward, we just continued to grow our relationship. We would, even before we came into this business, he was, I believe, taking pictures at the LA Zoo. And then after that, he would do delivery for Domino's, pizza delivery. So I was still working in retail. So every night we would meet up at my house and have our own masterminds. Like, how'd your day go? How can it get better? What are some things that you can improve on? Things like that. So no matter if it meant, delivering a pizza with a smile just to get a bigger tip, or how you can approach people at the LA Zoo to get, more pictures, more sales, or what I can do in the retail store, how I can improve my productivity, how I can push my people. So we always had our own little masterminds, and I think that us sharing our ideas with each other and helping each other become better as a unit, I think has really helped us out in not only our friendship, but in this business as well. We're very black and white with each other. We're very direct. And I think having that sort of transparency when it comes to transparency and accountability, because they're not all, rainbow and unicorn conversations. It's serious conversations that we have, that we hold each other accountable. And I think just having someone that can tell you, like, hey, this is what you're doing, this is what you need to do, but this is how you can do it. So it's not just about calling out people's opportunities, but showing them how they can improve. But Oscar, in many ways, in more ways than one, he's been that person for me, to where, I actually received an offer for over 6 figures right before I committed to full time to the mortgage industry. I received an offer for to make over 6 figures a year, and I took my offer letter. I had a conversation with Oscar, and I said, hey, look at my offer. I am not in a good position. I'm running low on funds. What do you think? And he looked at the offer and he said, you can do that in 2 months. He's like, if you really are committed the way you say you are, you can do that in 2 months. And that's the last time we ever spoke about that. Declined the offer the next day and went full time.
Yeah, that's an awesome story. Frankie, to wrap up, I know you're killing it, right? You're like I said, one of the top guys in the company in overall. What do you specialize in? So do you help? I know you help families with refinances. Yeah. I know you work with realtors. Do you do both, or is there one that you like doing more?
No, I think that, as I mentioned earlier, we're in the people business. So what I do is I just help people. I think that our job is to solve problems, and problems will arise in a refi, in a purchase, in a commercial purchase, primary, whatever you want to call it. They're going to come up. So our job is to identify the issue, overcome it, and solve it for everyone. So what I specialize in is being in the people business.
Yeah.
So I want my business partners to feel taken care of, to feel comfortable, and more than anything, to feel that they have a partner by their side who is looking out for their best interest.
If somebody's watching this and they're like, hey, you know what, right now I'm low on funds, I need to cash out, I got equity, and they want to reach out to you, like, why should they work with you instead of other lenders out there?
I think because it comes down to that same fact that I am in the people business. When you call me, I answer. And if I don't answer immediately, I'll call you right back.
I seen that when we were in the Virgin Islands trip.
Yeah.
That you earned.
Yeah.
You would get out. You were like working the whole time. You were like in the sun, and we were on.
I was in the pool,
the
right
yacht,
there.
the yacht.
Yeah.
And you were like just taking phone calls like every 10 minutes.
Exactly. And aside from passing it off to my production partner or to my assistant or to anyone else that can potentially handle the issue, I deal with it directly. And just like I want the acknowledgement directly, I also deal with the problems directly. So what you get when you work with me is full transparency. I don't beat around the bush. I want to call it how it is. And I'm very professional, although there may be hurdles throughout the way. Those are, nothing anyone can control, no matter how much we do our due diligence. So what you get from me is someone who's going to answer your questions when you ask them.
Awesome. Frankie, one last thing. So realtors, I know you have a great relationship with a lot of realtors that you help with people that want to get a new house. They have to get pre-qualified. You work with a lot of realtors. Is there something that you do special with realtors? Is that why realtors like you a lot? Or can you explain first if you're looking to work with more realtors, and if you are, like, what is it that why do realtors love you so much? Because I've seen a lot of realtors that they just seem to like fall in love with you, and they're like, oh no, Frankie's my guy. I'm so loyal to Frankie.
Yeah.
I don't like even if Frankie is out for a day or two, I'll wait because I'm that loyal to Frankie. What do you do to these realtors?
I think it just comes down to, what I always say is for every one realtor, there's 10 lenders trying to get that business.
Yeah.
So it comes down to the type of relationship that you build with them. Is it just business driven, transactional, or is it personal? And I think that, for my top realtors, I'm very personal. I want to know how their day is going. I can hear if they're having a bad day. I'm also their therapist. I'm also their friend. I'm also their family member. I go to the family parties. I build that relationship. So I think that what they like about me is that I'm not transactional. I actually cheer them on. Certain lenders will still send deals to my realtors that are obviously that other lender's deal, things like that. And I cheer them on, like more power to them. I think we can all eat. I think there's enough business to go around for everyone, that we're not going to be transactional. I'm more personal. I'm here for the long term, not the short term. And I think my work really reflects that.
Talk about a story about a client that you helped, maybe a recent client, or maybe it was a while ago, but a client that really touched you in the way you helped them. Does that make sense? Like maybe a client, you had to go out of your way to make the file work, that you feel really proud of?
Yeah. I think when I was barely getting started in the business, this is actually how I met my top producing realtor, my best business partner that I have out there. We were on the verge of closing. We were already running a little late. We had to ask for an extension because we took over the transaction in the middle of the transaction. The previous lender couldn't get it done, so they didn't want to grant us an extension. So what I did is, after my client signed docs, they needed physical copies. Now we can do scanned, but at that point they needed physical copies. So I drove from LA to Bakersfield to deliver the escrow packet myself to the escrow officer, and to have them, and we were actually able to fund that day. So that day the agent called me and she's like, hey, are you still in the area? Like, I've never had a lender do that for me, and like, I want to meet you. I want to have lunch. And we had lunch, we connected, and we just vibed with each other. We had a great connection, and she appreciated what I did, because we were gonna start getting charged the per diem. And if we didn't pay for the per diem ourselves, we charged the client. We were gonna have to redraw, and it was a mess. So we needed to fund that day, not negotiable. And I was able to just do what I had to do to get it done, and evidently that went a long way for me.
Yeah, that reminds me of me. Me and Sil used to drive to San Diego and places like that. And then also sometimes you would have to drive to like the escrow.
Yeah.
Wait for the docs and then drive them back to the lender.
Exactly.
And just crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
and it's things that, certain people are, like, for example, I was at open houses this past weekend. I'll be at open houses this upcoming weekend. And, you just, like you said earlier, remain humble, remain ambitious, and remain motivated. Never think you're above anything, because you're only as good as your last month. And at the end of the day, what you do, the work that you put in, will reflect, and people notice that, and they appreciate that, and that's why they keep coming back.
So you still do that, even though you're Frankie, the star. You still go to open houses. You're not afraid to do the dirty work.
Absolutely not. Even if I was Frankie, the president of the United States, I would still do it.
Awesome, Frankie. One last thing. Tell me something about Frankie that you've never shared, like, publicly. Something that nobody knows about you. For the first time.
For the first time.
Could be something funny or something that you never shared.
I mean, I think that I'm pretty open. I'm pretty transparent. I think the number one thing that, I honestly, I can't think of one. I can't think of one, because I'm pretty transparent. What you see is what you get. And I don't put up a front or a face around anyone. I don't try to be someone I'm not. As you can see, and I'm sure you have, with everyone, I'm the exact same way. And I think that genuine, personality that people receive is what makes them feel comfortable with me. So I don't think I have.
I like your answer, Frankie. And you know what, brother? I like you. I like you. That. So, like, thank you, Frankie.
Appreciate that.
One last thing. Tell people where they could follow you. What's your favorite platform?
Yeah, it's Instagram, Frankie Fragoso, just first name, last name. And if you guys prefer text messages or phone call, 323-497-2456. I'm here to help any way that I can.
We'll put all your information below.
Okay.
Thank you,
Sounds
guys.
good. Appreciate it, Albie.